And I'm Lynn, and today we have for you a new quilt that's called Go Chisel Around.
And I love this quilt, Lynn.
I love it too, and it's right here behind us, and this is a great example of where you've got a secondary pattern.
That's right. It's using Robert Kaufman fabric, and it's a great match of solids and prints, and the basic square, Lynn, is right in here, but you really pulls your eye to that secondary pattern of that pinwheel.
Absolutely, that's where my eye is going. But I really love what she did with this as far as she backed it with a heavier batting, and so it's got a warm and fuzzy feel to it. So I can definitely see this for a tween or a teen.
Right.
And then she's got this kind of fun quilted.
Fun quilting. And because it was a little heavier, she did use a thicker, heavier weight. She used a 30 weight from Sulky to do her quilting. And a little bit bigger stitch, which is just kind of fun, something really different. Another different thing about this quilt is that we're very used to our standard 12-inch blocks, and this actually is 15-inch finished block. But we've made it with our 12-inch cube and companion set.
Right, so this is an example of how this companion set can really expand the possibilities of what you can do with your mix and match cubes.
Right, so we've used 2 dies from our original cube, the 2 and 5 shapes.
That's right, we've got them right here. So real simple, it's a square and then a half square.
A half square, and then from our companion set, we've got our chisel.
Right, so pretty easy. Pretty easy.
Now the one thing about a chisel is, it is what we call a directional piece. And so you do want to, when you're using this, pay attention to your directions, which, as we all know, is not my forte, but this is the time to really pay attention, because with this one, we want all of our fabric cut the same way, and so we're going to cut it all with right sides up, right, Lynn?
That's correct. So why don't we go ahead and do that. We've got 4, this one's pretty easy. We've got 4 of the same color of the purple chisels and then 4 with the blue.
Okay.
So really in 2 passes you can have all the chisels cut for one block.
Perfect. I think you could cut this very, very quickly.
Very quickly. And so you just got to make sure that like you mentioned, either your fabric's up or down, depending on, in this case, all the fabric's up, right side up. Okay, so, and then we put our mat on top.
Okay.
And then because the 12-inch mix and match cube and the companion set have the larger size die board, they're compatible with your Go cutter and your Go Big cutter.
That's right, because there are some shapes in there that would not fit on a smaller die board.
Right, so just like that, we've got our perfect chisels.
Perfect. Now our chisels are engineered just like our half square triangles are, with those dog-eared corners cut off for us. And what that means is that the magic of television, we've got our half square triangles here cut.
Ooh, how'd you do that?
I know. So that they are going to line up just perfectly with our chisel. And I think you can see we've got our dog-eared corners that are going to make it a perfect match. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and sew this together. We're going to go ahead and put together one of these little blocks so that we can talk a little bit about pressing, right, Lynn?
Right, because this is a it's definitely a beginner quilt or a confident beginner, but there's a trick that we think would be helpful with the pressing.
That's right. When you have points like that we've got in the middle of that as we spin around, you can get a lot of bulk in there. So we always like to go ahead, really quickly set our seam, and as we say, press to the dark side. So I'm going to go ahead and do that really quickly here, and so that we can take a look at putting this together. Now, when I'm working with directional things like this, Lynn, I do sometimes like to go ahead and do one block like we've done over here, so that I've got something as a guide to follow, just to make sure I stay on track and I'm putting it together. So this one is going to go together like this. So I'm going to go ahead and sew this together then, so that we can talk a little bit about that pressing that we mentioned.
With this type of a project, we would definitely recommend, and it's also in the pattern, that this is a great one for chain piecing.
Absolutely. Putting those, you can go through, put all of those half squares on your chisels, put pairs of squares together, and at that point it's do all your pressing, because I like having that all done too, and then your assembly is going to go really quickly. So now that we've got these two pieces put together, we are going to recommend that you actually press this seam open. Now, it takes a little bit more time. Lynn is a presser opener. I'm usually a press to the sider, but when it calls for it, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of fabric. If we just press to one side with this, we've got a lot of layers of fabric right there. And when we go to quilt it out, it's going to be a little bulky for us, I think.
Yeah, so I think this is a good tip. There are some great pressing tips in the pattern, so make sure you read your pattern before you get started.
Like I said, don't do it like I do. Read your pattern. Okay, so with that quick press then, you can see we've got a great point right there, and it's much flatter than if we have it all those layers together. So let me lay it so that it's in the right direction.
And that's why this is so important, because then you've got that to refer to.
That's right.
All right.
So from here, we're putting together our rows, putting our rows together, and we're done in no time.
Yeah, this is a really great project that you could do definitely in a couple of weekends.
I think so. I think so.